welcome back to a new season of Confessions of a Black Therapist. And I say a new season because I've been doing some different things here in my life, and it it's been a lot. I know you guys haven't seen me in a while, but just know I'm still here, right? I've been going through some transformational periods. Literally had me sit back and reflect on how I want to show up in the world. So I think that everyone should have these moments in life, right? So that we get a true sense of self, and how our lives can not only be used to advance our lives, but to also advance the lives of others. So I apologize if you have been missing me and wondering what happened to sis, like where you at? Like I still here. I'm still rolling with the punches of life, and I'm still open to change. I'm still here, ready to give y'all these confessions. Okay. So how many can attest to life getting in the way, and your focus changes to flow with the direction it is taking you? Then you hear the Spirit say, you have gone too far, and it's time to reel it back in. So I had a few episodes typed up and halfway completed, and then something would get in the way and not bring me back to it, right? So, or I would tell myself that this is not what the people want to hear. That didn't make sense, or this doesn't sound like me, right? I wanted to educate you all on the importance of communication, and at some point I will, and the different components of it, but for some reason I just couldn't get back to it. I consider my encounters and podcasts spiritual, so I thought to myself, Crystal, I don't think this is the word that the Lord wants you to give to the people. So I said, okay, maybe if I sit with it for a little while, something will come to me, and I'll be able to switch up what I already wrote. And how many of you are hard headed like I am? So, how many of you can see it right in front of you, won't believe it until you prove it to yourself? Well, even if you don't want to admit it, I know that I am not alone in this. Sometimes it takes me a little longer to adhere to what the Spirit is telling me. Sometimes I still want to impose my will, even when it is not my will that should be done. So this past weekend, a couple weekends ago, I had lunch with a good girlfriend, and we don't talk every day or even see each other every day, but she knows that if she needs me, I'm there, and vice versa. So this is I consider her my spiritual sister. Every time we link up, I swear the Lord is always involved. So I get there before her and tell her to take her time, because I ain't going nowhere, and neither is this moment, right? So on the way, she says, God told me to tell you something. And in my mind, I say, Lord, you always doing this. Like, what I do now, right? Sometimes I feel I'm on punishment or being called to the principal's office when God speaks to me through others. So we get to chatting and catching up, and I start to tell her about my job. She looks at me and she says, this is where he wants me to give you the message. She said, a shift is coming, and you're being planted to bring forth God's will. I said, yeah, but I hate this place, right? The people are they cray, right? The environment does not speak to my soul. And she goes, Doing God's will is never what we want it to be, right? It is always what He wants it to be, and He wants you there to bring influence on behalf of His people. Now, don't get me wrong. I sense this was kind of my purpose for this particular job, for this particular season, right? Many of us are just as stubborn and hard headed as I am. How many of you know that stubbornness can be a blessing and a curse? How many of you know that being stubborn in things that you're passionate about can bring forth valuable outcomes, but being stubborn when God is trying to have His way ends in consequences you don't want to face? Believe me, I am still living in the consequences of ignoring God. So don't be like me. Be better than me. And this is why I have these here confessions. Okay. Lord knows I need to repent, but I also need to help the sister or brother next to me. I will be bold and tell you that I will be 40 in November of this year. Now, depending on who is listening, you may say, I'm old as hell. And others who may be listening may say, girl, you have yet to begin to live. But then there are my people, where you at, my people, who are turning 40 this year with me. So shout out to the 1984 babies. Up until this point in my life, I have had some clear indication of what I wanted for my life and where I wanted to go. However, this new era that I am beginning to embark upon has your girl speechless, right? I have no idea what is next or how to get there. And I am here to say, if this is you, that it is okay, right? Remember Maslow, right? In his hierarchy, he had this theory going for him. And he said at the top of this pyramid of needs, there was self actualization. And this is just a fancy word in my mind for you are always transforming and wanting more for your life. So sometimes you will have to try things and let them go, or try things and transform them into something that brings a sense of balance in your life. The biggest takeaway I am getting from this is if God is not in the mix, then you must acquit. Okay. Or was that OJ's lawyer? If it don't fit, you must acquit. Anyway, I think you get the point. Here is a point in my podcast that I remind you that faith is important to me. And I know that those trained as a social worker will say that, your faith should not be imposed on others. But I told y'all, I call myself the reality therapist, and God is the center. So, okay, now that I have done my disclaimer, let's get down to what we came here to do, boo. Okay, so discuss the blessings and curse of the spirit of stubbornness. So stubborn is defined as showing determination, not easily changed, difficult to move, in spite of good arguments or reasons to do so. When I first looked at this, I said, there are a lot of negative words associated to this definition, like not and difficult. I kept thinking to myself, can we see the positive in it? I am not difficult. Okay. Can we see independent thinker? Can we see not easily persuaded? Can we see witty? And who said that the reasons or arguments that they're talking about are actually good? I mean, that is up to the interpreter, right? Okay. So Maybe I'm stretching a bit, but it could happen. I'm just saying. But on a serious note, let's talk about what stubbornness has blocked. Start with thoughts, right? So being stubborn can limit the way you receive information. Most of the time, because we are forward thinkers, we already have an answer in our head. So when someone comes along to try to show us a different side, we don't really take it into consideration or feel it is not valid to our situation. This is what I think accounts for most of our trauma responses. We are so used to being disappointed, and I will say me, if y'all want to say we, with the lies and mistreatment of information from others that we feel we can only trust what we say because we know that we will not disappoint ourselves. We know that we have become a valid source. So, can you see where this could be headed? Now we are blocking trust in others and blocking our ability to trust communication in others. So think about it in this way. And you are talking with someone, how many of you are thinking about your response, what you feel is most important, and what you may need to do later on? Then they ask you, ask your opinion, and you say, "Oh man, what were they talking about again?" Um, when in actuality, they could have been giving you the cheat code, to a safety deposit box, which had millions of dollars in it. So the next time they come to you, they don't really want to share with you because they know that you weren't listening or taking their advice at face value, which then you are moving into blocking relationships. So relationships require give and take, right? But if all you are doing is looking at it from how you can benefit and not exchange, and not an exchange in benefit, then it pushes others away, which then brings you to isolation, in which this can be beneficial for reflection, but harmful because you are left to your own demise. The quote goes, isolation is the enemy of improvement, excellence, and connection. Remember that a sense of self comes from inner workings and sometimes from the reflection of others, right? How you learn who you are is through the eyes of other people. However, your sense of self should be so strong that others cannot break it. So, um, like I have said before, and I will say again, you can't do life alone because we were all meant to support someone, someone else in a way, some way, form, or fashion. So you see, stubbornness can cause a spiral of issues that blocks what we may need or are in search of. Now you say, I get it, Crystal. Let's get into the blessings. So the first I can think about is back to your thoughts, right? It shows that you are able to form an opinion of your own, that you won't fall for any old thing. And the second would be your behavior. So those who are stubborn, like myself, can often be predictable, right? So they do not easily give up. They are determined to obtain what they want or carry out a task to the end. I call them the strong, dependable friends. Um, then I think about the protection it creates. You feel secure, and security is something that we all strive for in our personal relationships and external relationships. So a stubborn person is not easily moved by the twists and turns of life. That's a whole word in itself. They are not easily moved when others try to tell them that their beliefs are wrong. They are innovators of society and bring about change through their unwavering, determined spirit. Being stubborn has saved money, arguments, and more. And I laugh, but okay, maybe not the arguments, but I think you get my drift, right? When you are pursuing a higher sense of self, it takes a balance of stubbornness. When you are taking a closer walk in faith, it takes a balance of stubbornness for in times where you can be easily persuaded. You can stand on your beliefs, but it's important to let your guard down, to hear from others and hear from God to help elevate you. I saw this clip from the Woman Evolve Conference of 2024. Shout out to everybody who went. I'm a little jelly, but it talked about surrender. She said there are 3 steps to surrender: uh, grief, and then, well, there's surrender, grief, and lay it down, right? And then you have to believe. So let me tell you how you can think you can have full control of your life, and God will humble you and tell you that your life is not your own. So a mindset shift is essential to your development and elevation. As the going says, know when to hold 'em and know when to fold 'em. For internal growth is a game of show and tell. So show that you are willing to surrender parts of who you are, and then show that you are willing to release control. Not only that, but show that you are willing to allow stubbornness to fall by the wayside if there is a good reason. Show that you are capable of doing and being something different. Show that you are willing to be healthy, even if you were once in an unhealthy relationship and circumstance. And then you want to tell how you overcame your obstacles. Tell how surrendering brought you closer to your destiny. Tell the world how you did not do it alone. Tell others that they are capable as well. Tell yourself that God wants to use you, flaws and all. He promised you land with milk and honey. So, what is keeping you from it? Allow the mule and you to carry you to a certain point, right? But then begin to surrender to enter divine change. If I just ran all up and down your street, I am sorry, because it was all up and down mine. I had to come and tell you about the transformations I have been going through in order to grow into who I am supposed to be. I had to come tell you to shed those defense mechanisms that were built to protect you at that time. Everything in life has a reason and season. This is the season to explore new territory and shed that old skin. It is time to mourn and bury habits that no longer suit us. We are new creations and should tailor our lives to the things we want. Begin to practice, live, and believe God for it. The way when it, that way when it comes, you will already have a plan in place. So what you do have to show and tell the world will come about. So I'm asking you, what do you have to show and tell the world? What do you have to show and tell yourself? For years, we have heard that God knew you before you knew yourself. He knew what you would do before you even did it. He created you in the womb, so he orchestrated your every move. He knew that you would fall. He knew you'd be flawed, but also knew his plan over your life. And if you just align your mind, body, and spirit, you can be used. If you can accept your flaws in all, why can't you accept yourself, flaws and all, is the question you should be asking. As I begin to embark on a new chapter, I said, what would I tell my younger self? I tried to be deep and profound, and the only thing I came up with was keep the faith. Everything I have been through and everything I have endured built character and made me who I am. It was necessary, right? It all was necessary. It didn't feel good at the moment, but it was necessary. So I leave you with this thought. Had you not gone through what you went through, would you still be the same? Show us and tell us about it. For if you are able to align our minds to things that we want to manifest and keep faith at the forefront, we are unstoppable. Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. Flaws are meant to show imperfection, and we are not perfect. So embrace who you are, love who you are, get to know you, and the rest will fall in place. For better a diamond with flaws than a pebble without. And shout out to Confucius for giving us that. Until next time, family, I hope this was a blessing to you as it has been a blessing to me. I will see you all soon.